me playing Minecraft, and we are in the adventure world here. As you can see by our X coordinate, we are 10,769, 70, 72, 75, almost 80 blocks away from our original spawn point. Get out of here, leaves. You're not wanted. You're not wanted either. And in this series, our goal is to just take a look at the natural wonders that are generated here in Minecraft. We are heading in a generally easterly direction, and that is because if I don't, I will double back on myself, as was apparent in episode numbers 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. One of those. Oh, wait, we got some dead zombie flesh. Well, I don't really want that cluttering up the old inventory. Let's get rid of the things that we don't need here. I don't remember if I did the caving that I did end up doing on or off camera. If it was on, then you already know. If it was off, well, you know now what I've got. Let's go ahead and turn this coal into some blocks, and we can free up another place there in the old inventory, if you're British or not. Our volumes are looking pretty good. Let's go ahead. Anything else we can consolidate? Not really, but let's go ahead and cook up that iron that we've got going. Might as well get a couple furnaces down. Nope, that's not the one. There it is. That shouldn't take more. That'll take maybe half of that. Actually, it'll only take, what, one block? Because it does one for every piece of coal, unless I am mistaken, which, of course, is always a possibility. In this game, things change so often that I'm not gonna hold on to it. I'm not gonna hold on to it because I think a horse in this style is just not gonna be an effective resource. So while this is cooking up, you will notice there in the top left-hand corner after the word Minecraft, we are in 13W39B, which was released yesterday, 9/26/2013. Today is 9/27/2013, and I've got a few stories of my own that I wanted to sort of talk about and tell. If you do we need to keep the leather? I don't see much point in holding on to the leather. I'm not going to be making armor or bookshelves or item frames or anything in that nature. If you saw my other video that I put out a couple weeks back on the building side, I was doing a little bit of what I'm terming, now this may or may not be a real term, I don't know, but a glog, a game log, or a VGlog, a video game log, whatever you want to call it. It's basically a vlog that you see on the tubes, on the YouTubes, and grab everything here and we'll be on our way. And basically I was talking about how I was going to be teaching in a kindergarten classroom, and that way is east is also indicated by the compass. We don't necessarily have to have our F3 on, but because I have not, I'm just making a mess of things here. But in case well, not in case, because I know for a fact that I don't know all of the new biomes. We've come across quite a few of them, but not all of them. I'm still awaiting the new jungle, and I do apologize for any stomping that you can hear upstairs. That's the neighbors, and they've got some kids, well, that are probably about that kindergarten age. One I think is maybe a little bit older than that, but they don't make any apologies to you, but I do. So anyway, I was talking about how I was going to be teaching in a kindergarten classroom in the upcoming weeks, and actually this week I went ahead and did do that. And I'll just go into a brief explanation as to why and the things that we did, and then I'll sort of go into how I sort of felt things ended up going. So, some cool tall grass as we transition into the swamp land, and then into the swamp, or does this just become a river? Nope, just stays swamp land. Okay. So I'm in a class, and within that class it's a service learning type of based class, and so what that entails is, well, going out and doing some service, and in this case it's a service learning education. The program is called SPIKE, S-P-I-K-E, and that stands for Science Partnership in K through 12 Education. And every year this course is offered at my campus. You can probably just Google Spike and figure out what campus I'm at. But it is offered about once a year, and this time apparently there's just a record number of volunteers. Turned out I was quite lucky in that I was even able to get into the course. They ended up opening up a new section, so normally there's about 20 to 30 section. Oh, is that something we've come across? I feel like that's something new. It's a blue orchid. I don't really know if I've come across that or if it's just a different texture. That's always a possibility. But they went ahead and opened up 2 sections because apparently it was so popular. And I was technically on the waitlist at the beginning, but I had done some corresponding previous to the semester starting and said, hey, sort of, what's going on? Am I getting in or not? Kind of a thing. Just as a side note, they in the change log they did say that the boat mechanics were slightly improved. It unfortunately is still the look in the direction you want to go as opposed to the keys. Keyboard doesn't appear to be doing much of anything, so I just wanted to say that. But they opened up a new section, and I was able to get into actually the original section that I wanted to get into. Let's actually go ahead and change up one of the video settings. Let's go down to maybe 10, because I'm jumping between, or 12. I'm jumping between like 30 and 50 plus frames, and it's as long as I'm above 30, it's fine. But I just want to make sure that it doesn't go below that number. But where was I talking about? I got in. Very grateful for that. Let's actually see if we can get around this little island. Seems like there's just a ton more islands. Not a bad thing. I'm definitely a fan of sort of getting rid of some of the ocean. I think that the ocean was a little bit too overbearing in that it would just take so long to end up actually getting anywhere. But so yeah, we do K through 12 education, and I was selected. A little bit of background as well. I've been teaching in different factions or manners for going on 4 years. This will be my 4th year of doing teaching, more as a hobby than anything else. I guess you could say a resume builder. I think actually the turning mechanics are a lot better. I feel like I can turn into spaces a little bit tighter than before at the higher rate of speed. Aww. Oh, I did not hit that. Whatever, fine. We will hoof it on foot. Well, not that way apparently. I've been I'm a transfer student, so at my pre-transfer institution, I was involved with a organization, and for a couple years what we ended up doing was going and doing middle school science education, and that was sort of my foyer? What's the word I'm looking for? That was sort of my introduction into education from the side of a educator as opposed to, that's gonna hurt, oh no, a student. And so when I was there, we did a lot of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teaching, and we did specifically science lessons and laboratory style science lessons, which as a science major and as a scientist, of course, that was for me something that I was interested in teaching and in doing. And we also put on a workshop style program for K through 12 students to get their sort of pique their interest in the STEM fields, and STEM standing for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so the first year that I was associated with that, we as a group, there was a fairly strong group of us, and we came up with the idea of doing sort of like a crime scene investigation style thing, because all the CSI and NCIS and all those types of shows were at the time, and still are, fairly big, fairly, your Law and Orders and those kind of things are still fairly popular. And we thought, great, this could be something that they could relate it to. And I know personally that when I was that age, I too wanted to was inspired, I guess, to do a similar thing, and it's getting to nighttime. Let's take a quick sleep, and let's go ahead and take a quick sleep, and I'm gonna have a sip of my beverage. Yes, you're on fire. Stay away from me. Go away. You're not wanted. Thank you. Oops, not trying to re-sleep there, but I know I was interested in becoming a crime scene investigator. I thought that would be, a super cool thing to do. And on that note, hopefully I will remember at some point to tell the story that's related to that. Me wanting to become a crime scene investigator and the resulting thing that happened that ended up sort of turning me off to it. So hopefully at some point I'll remember to tell that story as well. I'm sure I will, because it was a pretty big story. Here we are in a sort of a roofed redwood forest almost. This is regular wood. Oh, I got an achievement. Getting wood. Ah, it's spruce. Okay. No reason to hold on to that. I think it's meant to sort of emulate a redwood forest in that you just have a huge canopy of really large in diameter trees, and I really like the way Mojang, whoever it is, Dinnerbone, Jeb, whoever's running things over there now, I really like the design of how it's the different trees aren't just straight up and down like the old trees used to be. I mean, since Alpha, these have been how the trees have been laid out. You get 6 or so logs fall, surrounded by a bunch of leaves, and you'd never have a completely roofed canopy. And so I like how you can have these different sizes in diameter, as well as different sort of bending trees, if you will. A little bit more realistic, which I think a lot of people, myself included, are definitely fans of. So let's make sure we don't get too turned around and continue in the eastern direction, as I started to not do that. So anyway, I need to eat here pretty soon as well. Getting a little bit hungry from all that running around. I have to kill some livestock here somewhat soon. We're doing alright in terms of food, though. Let's not worry about that. But so the thing that we put on was the sort of crime scene investigation idea, and because this is maybe it's not K, maybe it's middle school through 12, so fifth grade through 12th grade. In 5th grade you're oh gosh, I'm always terrible at this, and I always have to ask somebody what age you are in what grade. But I think you're 12. That's my guess. 10, 12. Somewhere around there. And so we didn't want to do something that was going to end up being super sort of gory or gross and off-putting to the point where, ooh, I don't want to do that. That's icky. That's gross. Because our whole goal is to do the opposite and to inspire these younger girls. So I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but it was a girls-only type of a thing. We generally want the presenters to be women as well, so we would always make sure that would happen. But we wouldn't want to, turn them off to the idea of doing science because, oh, it's icky, it's gross, I don't want to get dirty, I don't want to whatever. And so what we decided to do was we turned it into, chop that on down, turned it into a sort of a murder mystery involving the characters from the Fruit of the Loom. And a few years back, maybe 5 or so years back, Fruit of the Loom was running a campaign where they would they'd have their fruit characters in different sort of bands, and they would play different songs and things like that. So we decided that we wanted to sort of emulate that and that idea with our thing. And so it's interesting because every year we sort of progress or change things in terms of not the amount of effort, but the quality of the product. Let's put it that way. Our first year, we just stole, if you will. So it's educational purposes, so it's not really stealing. We went ahead and took the idea from the Fruit of the Loom character guys. We just took their videos, just from the YouTube, and ripped them. And I was trying to save that boat because it's a bit of a pain to have to keep trying to get them. So this is a little bit different. Is this just a spruce? Oh, it's a taiga without the snow. So clearly we have not had any inclement weather gone on during the time of this chunk, although I figured there would still be a bit of snow, but I suppose not. Hi, wolves. Do I have bones? I'd like a pet. No. Don't have any bones, guys. Sorry. No pet. And so our first year, we just basically ripped the videos off of YouTube and then we had somebody do a voiceover of the different characters, and then what we would do is we would set up a little crime scene, and so the main premise was that there was a incident in the band, what do you want to call it? Sort of like a jealousy, something going on there, and so it turns out that one of the other band members was going to be the one who was responsible for killing that one band member. And the job of our detectives, of our scientists for the day, the girls that were trying to get interested in the field, their job was to put the clues together that we left at the crime scene, in the video, physical evidence as well as circumstantial evidence. So we would have physical evidence of something being left at the crime scene that they would collect. We would have circumstantial evidence in the form of the video where they would say, well, this person didn't like that person because they had a fight, kind of a thing. And so every year, okay, let me explain the station. So we'd have a gel electrophoresis station that's basically DNA fingerprinting, or just taking a suspect DNA and comparing it with a known DNA by doing a separation process, or gel electrophoresis. Another station is a pen chromatography, which is very similar to the DNA fingerprinting, in which you sort of figure out the pen's quote-unquote chemical fingerprint. And so every pen has a different composition. Every pen made by every maker has a different composition to it. And so what you do is you take that pen and you can separate it chemically on a piece of paper, and it will separate it into its component colors. And that separation pattern can be used for... Ooh, lag spike. Can be used to determine which pen was used to write the murder notes. We'd have a murder note at the scene. And another one, as I'm just jumping around like a fool, another one was and is, because I'm planning on doing it again this year. So here's our snow-filled tiger. Maybe that's just because of the mountains. Let's get around these mountains. Let's go around them instead of just hopping around like a fool. And another station was just regular fingerprinting, which, believe it or not, is still one of the largest contributors in terms of evidence. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, DNA technology, because of the fact that the crime scene shows, that's generally when they end up showing is people go down for the crime based on DNA evidence. But for the most part, in reality, the way it works is fingerprints are still the #1 source of... dang it. I'm really good at jumping. That's why I don't do parkour type puzzles. I've always been terrible at them. But here we are at the top of the world, still continuing to jump around like a fool. We're only at 115 blocks high, but I really do, just a side note, I really do like the new stone, the exposed stone that's going on. Let's use our water to get down. I think that'll be the easiest way. So we'd have just a regular old fingerprint. Oh, that just instantly froze. That's... what a jerk. Well, I can get more down here. That's fine. So we'd have a regular fingerprinting station, and then they don't necessarily identify the fingerprints based off of... oh, no. Dang it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Wow, that's taking forever to come down. Wow, we just made a huge mess with the single source block. Look at that. This whole valley is now flooded. So we wouldn't have them, actually identify a fingerprint. We'd have them identify a fingerprint style or pattern. So there's like an arch and a loop and a whirl and those kind of things, and then they would match those up to the one that was found on a murder weapon or something like that. And our final station, which was my station, which is always the fun station, is interviewing or interrogating a suspect, and that suspect is me. So what happens is when the girls are brought over to the station, to the almost fell off there, to the crime scene, excuse me. When they're brought over there, they find me eating a variant of one of the members. So if it was one year we had apples, so I was eating applesauce when they caught me. One time we did grapes as being the murdered one, and so I was eating grapes. And basically what had happened was they would find me out, and I would run, and then one of our other members would come and hunt me down and bring me in, and then they would interrogate me. It's getting close to nighttime. Let's get our bed, at least on our bar. We can go a little bit farther if we have to worry about spawning. And so my station, once they got back, was to interrogate me and figure out, why were you at the crime scene? What were you doing there? Why were you essentially eating your band member? That was always a fun one. They always loved asking that one. I should have slept sooner. Well, we're gonna do super ghetto bed. There we go. Take a little sleep. And so once they went around to a couple of the other stations, they could also say, well, this piece of evidence points towards you. And we had the really great idea of having one of our leader people, one of our group members, be sort of a district attorney type of a person, and then I would have my own attorney. And the second year that we did it, the first year I had a lawyer who, he was just very quick and didn't necessarily have any props or anything like that. But the second and last year, we changed up who my attorney was, and it was actually one of my good friends from we've known each other since at least elementary school, second, third grade, somewhere around there. We've been close friends ever since. So and he and I do a lot of improvisational stuff whenever we hang out. And so we as weird as it may sound, we're able to finish each other's sentences, kind of a thing. And so we generally know where the other one is trying to go with a joke or with a situation, and are able to not compensate. I'm going south. I'm going the wrong way. And we're able to sort of figure out the next step. Let's go ahead and oh no, not that. We're out of you. Okay, head on over to you, the steak, and that's gonna be a two steak as opposed to a one steak or a mistake. See what I did there? A mistake. We're also a big fan of puns. But what we decided to do is print out a fake law degree from Harvard University, and just the font on it is just ridiculous, and it's made on just printer paper instead of sort of cardstock, which degrees are typically printed on. And then we decided to print up some charts of just the dumbest charts in the world you could ever imagine, like things like how popular each band member is, how much each band member is hated between the other members. We had a talent chart, and so it was funny because the first year I was actually innocent, and because we weren't playing shenanigans with my lawyer and I, the girls were so empathetic at the end, and they were, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't think you were. We thought you were really guilty. I'm so sorry." Because I was sort of genuine in my responses, and my lawyer and I were playing it more along those lines. The second year I was actually guilty, and so that was great satisfaction for them. Yeah, you were guilty, we found out, and we got you, and we're going to take you to jail now, and you're going to get hauled off, and, woo, it's a great thing. And so it's if you've never been in the position to be accused by, we've got at least like 30 or, no, we got like 40 or 50 girls who are 5th grade through 12th grade. If you've never been accused and yelled at by that many girls at one time, it is a trip. I'll tell you that much at least. It was intense. It was like, man, I was drained by the end of the day. Just the amount of energy, just to have to be sort of on and acting that whole time. But then on top of it, not to get any, oh, we're sorry, but yeah, that's right, get out of here, you scum, you scumbag, you killer, all that kind of stuff. Is that ever a drain on the energy? And last year what we did was I was actually innocent again, but I was very sort of cheeky and very just sort of like, oh, please, I'm obviously innocent. I clearly didn't do it. Just very cocky about the whole situation, and that didn't help things either. So even though I was innocent, I still got dirty looks from, I still got just these mean stares and these dirty looks, and I realized I'm going south again. And it was still a drain because there's just no sympathy at the end again. It was just sort of like, well, he may be innocent, but he's still a jerk. So is his lawyer. It was funny because last year they were starting to accuse my lawyer of doing it too, of being guilty of killing. And he's like, I'm the lawyer. I clearly I didn't do it. It wasn't me. What is that? Sunflowers. First time seeing sunflowers in the game. Very cool. And they face east, so it was kind of curious walking up on them and upon, I suppose. And so I've really veered off of my original topic of talking about teaching kindergarten. And I am getting a little bit long in the tooth, so I may end up just saving that for another time and just sort of wrapping up with my little seminar project thing that I've done in the past. But that's sort of a background on some of the teaching stuff that I've done. I've also taught a biological lab for non-majors again at my transfer institution. I did that for a year, had a lot of good experiences, had a lot of bad experiences. In some ways, the kids are, and I don't care if they're older than me, they're still kids. I still call them kids, although I've recently just started transitioning to call them students because that's what they really are. They're actually students, they're not kids. But in some ways, the college are better in that you can just sort of say, okay, this is what you're doing, go ahead and go and do it. The directions are printed out, while with the middle school and younger kids, it's a lot more, okay, we're going to demo this for you, and then we're going to, sit down and basically do it with you, sit by your side, make sure you're doing everything properly. In some cases, you just have to do that because the concepts that we're trying to teach and the laboratory experiment that we're trying to teach was a little bit over their head, and so we would have to sort of curtail the lesson and critique it to try to be a little bit more accessible for them. But in other ways, we'd be a little bit more independent and having them sort of try to figure things out a little bit more, and less of us sort of trying to give them the answers, which you never want to do teaching anyway. You never give a student an answer. That's just not the way you do it. You lead them to self-discovery, and you do that for a couple reasons. I mean, the biggest is they can take ownership of their education, and that's huge. So if you go into a classroom and the teacher basically just hands information at you, hands information to you, and expects you just to sort of regurgitate it back, that's not the way to go. That's I've experienced that a lot in the science fields. There are many reasons for that. One quick statistic I'll throw out is, of people who initially start as a hard science major, so we're talking physical sciences, things of that nature, biological sciences, math, physics, things like that, of the 100% of people who initially announce that as their major, 60% drop out, change majors, or just drop out of school completely. And one of the biggest reasons for that is people just feel like science and math, they're just so inaccessible. In a lot of these fields, there's a lot of terminology, a lot of big words, a lot of scary words. And if you have a teacher who just throws it out at you and expects you to understand it and be able to sort of regurgitate it back, those are the type of people who end up dropping out because it's too much for them. They just can't process that high of a volume of information. And the problem in some ways, I think, is the education system. I'm sure a lot of people have had teachers who do a PowerPoint presentation and just read off of the PowerPoint, and that is their whole thing. And of course, that is no way that to teach, and that's just not a way to do it. I am getting a little bit long in the tooth on the episode. I'm going to wait until the night, which will be upon us here pretty soon, and then I'm going to have to call it an episode, because I really want to keep things in the 20 to 30 minute mark at this point, while I don't have a lot of subs and I don't have a high number of retention in terms of viewing full episodes and stuff like that. and also because I know longer episodes tend to be just not viewed, to the full extent, and so I don't want to be talking and giving a lot of information out on subjects and things that I think that are interesting, and potentially other people may find interesting as well, and then just not have them watch because they don't have the time, or they're just not interested at the beginning of the video in whatever the topic is, because this is a storytelling, more informational walking series as opposed to the other series where I do building, more building style. And so with that in mind and being said, we're going to cut the episode as soon as we get up and atop this hill. We've made a decent amount of progress. Our X went from about 10,000 to almost 15,000. Let's get it to that 15,000 mark. That'll be our goal, is maybe 5,000 blocks an episode. I think that'll be a fairly reasonable goal, unless of course we've got to do caving and whatnot. Although for the most part I think I'm going to keep the caving out of these sort of videos, because personally I'm not a fan of the caving, and it's really difficult for me to do a glog or a VGlog, video game log or game log, while recording and talking about whatever subject I want to talk about and caving. For me, it's quite a tall task. So as we breach that 5,000 block mark for the episode, and the sun is setting, we still don't have any bones to get a pet. That's okay. We will leave ourselves with the image of 2 lava flows. So, until next time, I'll see you next time.